Our State of the U.S. story. Liberals want to dismantle our system of border security, but they don't know the first thing about immigration. Last night, President Trump talked about the importance of protecting people from human smugglers, known as coyotes. A number of leftists like David Hogg and Jamel Hill apparently had never heard of the term before and thought President Trump was using the term as a racial insult against migrants. Of course, being uninformed is nothing new for the left. Every time they try to push for gun control, for example, a prominent liberal inevitably shows they don't know the difference between an automatic weapon and a semi-automatic weapon. Same thing with immigration. If you don't know what a coyote is, you don't know anything about border security. So why should we take your opinion seriously? With me now from the Heritage Foundation is Hans von Spakovsky. Welcome back, Hans.
Thanks for having me.
So I think this situation gets at the heart of what's wrong with politics these days because we're taking orders from people who don't know much of anything. So what's your take on the situation with the coyote term?
I'm just amazed that people are so ignorant of that. Look, the Mexican drug cartels, which are some of the most dangerous criminal gangs in the world, make a fortune smuggling individuals across the border. They are the ones that profit from human trafficking, and the longtime term used for those smugglers is coyotes. And one of the reasons for that is because of the vicious treatment that they give to the individuals they're smuggling across the border. Everything from abuse to selling women into sexual slavery to, unfortunately, sexually assaulting the vast majority of the women, for example, that they're bringing across the border. It is a derogatory term, but it's a derogatory term for basically violent criminals.
Yeah, we hear those sad stories all the time. We hear about the rapes, as you were speaking about. You hear about people being left to die in deserts, left to drown in rivers by these coyotes who take the money and they run because, whether or not you get there alive is not really their business. They just take your money and run. So we're also seeing that new reports are saying that a lot of these human smugglers in Central and South America are actually using clips of Democrats here in the U.S. during their primary debates and other such debates, using their clips about giving illegal aliens more and more benefits. And they're using that to help entice people to come up and make that dangerous trek in the first place. Do you think that's violent rhetoric coming from the left? That's almost blood on their hands.
I think it is. When you start talking, for example, as Biden did about providing amnesty, that is a way of tempting and inciting even more illegal aliens to come across the border, which is what the drug cartels, the smugglers, and the coyotes want, because they will make so much money from individuals paying to get them across the border.
And then another thing that Biden tried to hit the president on last night was that there's about 545 children still being held in different centers, and their parents, they have not been reunited with their parents. However, the DHS has spoken out about this, saying about 485 of those kids actually have had their parents contacted. It's the parents who are actually still in their place of origin, such as Honduras or Guatemala. And the parents are saying, no, we do not want to be reunited, because they want the kid to stay here in the U.S. in a nice shelter, getting food and drink and being allowed access to the U.S.
Yes, and also because they're hoping that if, for example, if the amnesty is provided to so-called dreamers, individuals who've come here when they're minors, they're hoping that will be able to then get them out of their countries and into this country because they're the parents of these kids who will be given amnesty.
And so we hear the president, one thing that came out of the night that a lot of people were pointing to and thought was quite funny is that President Trump kept asking Joe Biden, who built the cages, Joe? Because Joe Biden, again, tried to use this sad situation with the children as a weapon against the president and his administration. But again, who built the cages? That comes directly from the Obama administration. Do you think the president's quasi-joke there landed with voters?
Yeah, I think it would, and I think it would point out the false claim that was made with photographs by some media organizations that this was going on during the Obama administration. Look, there was quite a contrast between the two candidates. On the one hand, you have one candidate who's trying to enforce our laws and secure the border, and another candidate basically saying he's going to open up the border, he's going to provide amnesty and citizenship, and he's not going to enforce our immigration law.
When it comes to amnesty, is that something he could legally do through, say, an executive order? Would that take an act of Congress? How would he pass it? Does he have the power to do so, Biden?
No, that would have to be an act of Congress. As you know, President Obama tried to do it through an administrative program. That is clearly unconstitutional beyond the statutory authority of a president. It would have to be Congress doing that, although huge problems would be caused by a president who refuses to enforce the law, because that would be almost a de facto amnesty.
Well, hopefully we don't have to worry about a Biden presidency if all things go well in November. But thank you so much for joining us tonight, Hans.
Thanks for having me.